Good day, everyone. This is Barbara Moss from Pets Plus magazine, and we're happy to bring you today's webinar, Digitizing the Unboxing Experience, How to Build Relationships with Your Pet Parents. This webinar is brought to you today by Blustream. Blustream is an after-sale engagement platform that digitizes the unboxing experience to create long-term customer relationships. Pet businesses use Blustream to create a direct channel with their pet parents to drive revenue, retention, and referrals. And we're joined today with our panelists, Ken Rapp, CEO and co-founder of Blustream, and Emily Lagasse, the founder of Fedwell Pet Foods and Petwell Supply in Somerville, Massachusetts. If you have any questions or anything like that, comments during the presentation, you can write them in the questions section of your GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll take them towards the end of today's formal presentation. I'll be back, but until then, Ken and Emily, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Barbara. And thank you, Emily, for joining, and thanks to all of our participants for joining us this afternoon or this morning, depending on where you are, maybe even this evening. So I'm Ken Rapp, and I'm looking forward to sharing with you some of our experiences out in the market. And today, we titled this our Digitizing the Unboxing Experience, How to Build Lifetime Relationships with Your Pet Parents. When we said unboxing, we certainly mean first impressions. How when one of your customers gets home with a product for their pet, how they actually can have an awesome experience like we all have in certain other types of technologies. Like recently, I set up a home internet system for my Wi-Fi, and with a few QR codes and a few clicks, it was all done. Years ago, that would have been a big problem, and I would have had to reach out to one of my smarter children, one of my sons, to come over and help me set it all up. But in today's world, this technology is available, and Blustream is excited to be providing it to industries like the pet industry. So let's begin. What we're going to walk through here is we're going to show you how you can connect to your customers with personalized pet product experiences. We're going to talk about the problem and the opportunity, the solution, touch on the value and the benefits, and then actually show you some use cases that Emily will describe. Finally, we'll conclude with some comments and then open the floor for a Q&A. The problem is urgent. Online buying is crowded, it's commoditized. In fact, earlier today, for fun, and you can feel free to do this now if you'd like, I just went out and searched on dog food, and I got over 100 million responses. Now, as a consumer, that's great, I have lots of choices, but as a business, I really don't have a connection to my customer anymore. It's so easy to go online and search on something. It becomes a disconnection point between a business and their customer. So even after buying the food, the customer may walk out the store and they continue to have lots of choices and have almost too many choices online in that pre-sale buying experience. And we haven't separated our existing customers from new sales and marketing programs. Historically, when we're spending money on selling and marketing, we haven't pulled the customers that we already have into a special category of existing customers. And we all know that it's very expensive to get that first customer. And the documentation and research says 5 to 10 times more expensive. So without a cost-effective, high-value way of building a relationship with a customer after the sale, we just continue to invest in broader marketing and selling programs. And according to the Temkin Group and others, it's a fact that investing in customer experience has huge payoff. For example, increased customer satisfaction, improved retention, the cross-selling and upselling opportunities become natural, doubling revenue. And it's interesting, one of the most interesting parts of investing in customer experience that I remember from some of the reading I've done is that customers are willing to even pay more for a great experience. And one of the examples that stuck with me was actually around birthday cakes, because these days, my family, we don't typically make, sometimes we do, but we don't typically make a birthday cake from scratch anymore. In the old days, we would break out the eggs and the flour and the sugar. And, you know, I remember my grandmom actually making a birthday cake. Then along came a box that with just adding a little bit of water, maybe an egg, out would come a birthday cake after I baked it. And then finally, these days, we just call our local supermarket and have some nice writing put onto the cake and then go pick it up. And we pay more for those better experiences to fit our schedules and our busy lives than we used to when we made it from scratch. And it's a great experience, and it's more convenient. It's probably frosted the way one of the birthday recipients wants it. And so we really have a chance to, the whole world has moved toward looking for ways to create these better customer experiences to retain your customer, to improve that cross-selling, upselling, and actually to even charge a little more for that value add. So let's look at what's been going on in the retail and brand and manufacturing arena. So let's take an example of Sarah. So Sarah just got a puppy from a local rescue, and she goes and visits a pet store. She buys some things she needs, and on the way home, she's bombarded with ads and emails and offers from what are likely competitors to that local pet supply store. When she gets home, she goes online and begins to do the research on how to care for her new pup, products to buy, other tips, and that opens doors for competitors to make their own suggestions. And we've all done this. We get home with a new product, and we were in the store and we got great advice from the store. Sometimes we get good advice. But by the time we get home, we can't remember all the things that we were told about our new purchase. So here, it's created a problem where we go on to Google or YouTube or Amazon and we find what we need to know at that moment in time. Now, as time goes on, a day, a week, a month, a year, we certainly have to go back online to find things to help make sure that we do a great job taking care of the product or our pup in this example. So there's been no purpose-built after-sale product and service engagement platform. Purpose-built, meaning traditional automation in marketing has looked at, you know, sending emails and recently texting, but sending emails, and a lot of the email ends up in spam folders. We all get emails that we just delete. It's typically a one-sided campaign-driven engagement, meaning that it's sequential. So it's going to allow us to put out a series of messages to a customer or to a new prospect in this example, and hope that we'll get conversion on, you know, the third or fourth or fifth message. I have an old colleague who told me it's 10 times before you actually get a connection. And then last but not least, it can be setup intensive if you're not right in the sweet spot. And these systems have been purpose built. They do an excellent job in sales management, in marketing, filling our funnel, our sales funnel, in customer support, even after sale for customer support. If it's purpose built, they do an excellent job and the setup is simple. But if we're trying to move those systems to do other things, it's actually labor intensive and can be costly, take a lot of time, and require support. So what we really want, if we put our pet or our product in the center of the circle and talk and think about product centricity, engaging with our customers around the product, what we'd really like is a very dynamic unboxing and then ongoing care messaging relationship with our customer. We'd like it to be two-way, so we can ask some questions and then the answers to the questions can actually determine what the next message is for years to come. In some cases, for example, how often do you walk your dog? And in that kind of an environment, it might say 15 minutes a day, but we know that after 2 hours of walking, you might need to have a certain set of dietary supplement. And so having the ability to engage in both directions with information as well as getting information back can then become the trigger point or the initiation of future messaging, two-way engagement. And finally, having pre-filled, relevant, and expert content that's been curated by having the research done to know what are the best messages and touch points throughout the life cycle of a particular product, a pet, a home, a dog, a cat, maybe a fish, or your aquatic pet, or a reptile. And having the content ready to go so that, again, purpose built, it's a very easy setup right in the sweet spot of after sale engagement on the life cycle of the animal. So this is where Blustream has built our company. We really believe that the shift to after sale engagement unlocks perfect touch points to build lifetime relationships. And this is an example here. We work in other industries as well, but we're very excited to help pet owners and the industry, the whole pet industry, pet providers and suppliers of goods and services, because again, there are so many opportunities to engage a customer, one of your pet owners, after the sale. And for example, unboxing are those first impressions from the day that we all who've owned or had puppies get home and have lots of questions to methodically and intelligently message and dialogue dynamically with our pet owner, our customer, about their training and the shots and the cleaning and playing and teething. And then along the life cycle, the whole life of the relationship between exercise, tips and training, grooming, tutorials, diet. I'll never forget a story about the real needs in changing diets of an animal. And that, I did not know that. I knew that there was puppy chow, and then it moved from there to, young adult and maybe elder. But I did not realize that there were supplements for certain breeds, that there were some breeds that are very active and other breeds that are not as active, and that it's important to know how to take care of the different breeds. And so ongoing care becomes critical. And then finally, over the lifetime of the relationship, there's lots of touch point opportunities to help a pet owner, a dog owner, a cat owner, aquatics and reptiles around vet visits, changes, consumables, and supplements. It's this backdrop that Blustream has built our platform to enable the industry to engage with their customer. So the Blustream solution is an after-sale product engagement software platform. You simply choose the product journey. So we call those touch points the life cycle, the series of messages journeys. You choose those from our library, add your customers, and then watch as the platform delivers perfectly timed touch point messages that build a lifetime of relationships between you and your customers. And what I want to point out here on this slide is what's quite interesting when you put the pet or our product or the pet, the dog, in the center of our view. It's not only time-based messages that are critical. Certainly on day one, saying congratulations, thanks for buying, what you need to help get your new pup off the ground in a great way, and unboxing is certainly day 1, day 5, day 30. Time-based messaging are critical. Birthdays are fun. But there's also usage. And what we mean by usage here could be asking the owner the question about exercise. How many minutes a day or hours a week is the owner getting to go outside or to take their new furry friend out for some exercise? And that data can be used to actually trigger future messages. For example, if it's at 5 hours of exercise, maybe it's time to look at a different leash, or it's time to look at a different collar. Or if it's, depending on breed, there could be some supplements that would be required. And then if we keep looking at types of message triggers, things like the weather. I certainly remember a time on a 4th of July when my brother's dog went through a plate glass window because of the fireworks. And had he known that there's help there are thunder jackets and snuggly blankets that could actually have helped his dog. Fortunately, the pup is fine. She was okay, but it was a scary time for all of us. And so whether it's 4th of July and fireworks, or in the environment, a thunderstorm coming through, or there's been a lot of rain, or maybe being in the New England area, or depending on where you are, it can be snowy and cold up here in the winter months. And so maybe depending on the breed, knowing that the cold is coming, it's time to get some puppy booties for your pet. Or just equally, if you're in a much warmer climate, to protect their paws. So these are the kinds of triggers that are part of putting our pets in the center of a platform that will create a relationship and the right messaging at the right time. And I will mention IoT, that there's IoT or sensors all around us these days, from automatic litter boxes to water fillers and food fillers. And again, those are the kinds of trigger points that can be used to create and trigger the right messages at the right time. As we look at the life cycle of messaging, there's the whole process from unboxing to onboarding to just enjoying the company of your pets and your customers' pets, and then finally the maintenance and care and sharing with other friends. There's 3 steps that it takes to set up and launch and enjoy a new relationship on the Blustream platform, powering your relationship with your customer. First is to choose from the library that messaging template. So to choose the journey. And over here on the left, what you see is one of the journeys in the dog arena. And you can see there's lots of different parts to that journey. different message groups like diet and exercise, travel, allergies, skin and coat. Once we've got the journey in the Blustream platform, we then look to be able to pull that journey up and look at each message by its triggers, its messages, and it's got a place for links for education as well as for purchase recommendations on the links. And our customers then will go in and they'll take it from the library and they'll pull the right trigger. They may want to modify the dates or modify the timing. They might want to add a trigger or change and modify the initiation of the message. You then can go in and edit the message. And here's where you enter in your company's name, your brand, and any extra type of communication or message you'd like to modify and store. And finally, the links. So putting in the links that are best for you. Our templates come with triggers, messages, and links. And our touch point manager, which is the screen you can see here, is what we use to modify those triggers, messages, and links. Next, you load your contacts and start building the relationships. And what you see here is we all use QR codes in our daily life, and that's one way of getting your contacts and allowing your pet owners to get onto the program. There are many other ways, but that's one way that we found is very common. And what you see is once they're signed up, it automatically just on the right-hand side started messaging to your customer. In this case, it was actually asking about exercise, and based on the exercise scenario that was texted back by the customer, it was used to pick the right diet for that particular dog. So the right message went out to the right person at exactly the right time. And typically we see messages to include alerts, educational tips, sometimes some reminders, and purchase recommendations for the best recommendations of products and services for the owner for their pet. Lastly, you have a complete analysis of what's going on in your messages. So here we're seeing on the right-hand side, as the screen goes by, we're picking a date range, and each message touch point or a collection of message touch points comes up on the screen and we get our performance metrics. Next, we have a tab which allows us to look at any of the questions and responses for all the questions, maybe about the breed or about the amount of exercise, or maybe it's about the supplements someone had a question about, or you want to make a recommendation around, or maybe some new toys or treats for training. And so here you have a view at your fingertips of how your customers are interacting with you. And lastly, at the bottom of the screen, what you saw is all the data is available for integration and reporting. So you have the ability to export or link the data right to your existing analytics platforms, or you can run your own reports and maybe look at new product development with some data that would be very relevant to a particular set of questions that might have been asked to the right customers at exactly the right time, so you get a very high response rate. So now Sarah and her favorite brand are connected for the life of her furry friend. She's very happy. Her favorite brand is happy, and her dog is happy. So she's connected right from that initial purchase, right through the life of her furry friend. So here, as she went home, she didn't have to go spend a lot of time on Google or YouTube or Amazon or any other online store. She was getting recommendations directly. And we certainly, those links could be used for any of the educational materials and any of the places where you believe she should be directed to purchase her services and goods. And then secondly, you're with her for the entire journey. So one important point here is she could actually text you proactively herself and say supplements, and representing your brand would then come up a series of questions or comments or educational materials about supplements. And maybe Sarah has a question that she wants to ask, or maybe she wants to talk with someone right away. She can type in a text that is a word that would link directly to your customer support or phone line, so that she'd have access right away. You'd be alerted that it's time to pick up the phone or shoot her an email and have a conversation. So one of our customers called us churn busters. So we really believe in building after-sale relationships and value added around the right messages at the right time. And that's going to increase retention, it's going to increase revenue, and it's going to increase lifetime value. Now, we realize that Blustream's mission is to complement what you already have if you've got sales, marketing, and support systems, by being that after-sale engagement complementary platform to help you engage with your customers after the sale. And so our platform is designed and purpose-built to be integratable with any of these external systems. And in some cases, they can actually be a trigger to launch the right start of a messaging journey for your pet owners. Now, in summary of some benefits, not only are we talking about a direct ability to link revenue to your store or to your after sale, but it's also the payback is extremely fast, and it reduces churn and increases your customer satisfaction. And it's interesting to think about this as we've worked with our customers. One question might be, well, how can you have a direct link to higher revenues? You know, can you actually connect those dots? And I'll give you an example. If you are selling supplies and maybe services, grooming or training, and you were building a relationship with a customer directly, giving them real education and recommendations on their specific dog, in this example, their specific breed, on how they should best take care of that pup, and how they should be exercising and diet and maybe treats and things. When you're building trust, when it's time to recommend another grooming, or to come in for, you know, some nail clipping, or to buy food, what's amazing is the conversion rates are extremely high. Now, I liken this in my personal life to when my car actually tells me it's time to change the oil. I actually change the oil because I expect, if I've got that trust with my car and it's telling me the temperature and the gas and all that, but once in a while, when I've gone far enough, it tells me it's time to go change my oil, I think it's time to go change the oil. However, I get emails from my car dealership, as well as some other places now and again, asking me if I want a coupon to come change the oil, and I never do. And so that really struck us to say when the product itself, the car, in my example, is suggesting it's time to do something, it gets a very high conversion rate. And that's what I'm talking about here. So with that, what we'd like to do now is I'd like to hand the ball to Emily. And Emily is going to take you through some real examples about our library and how you'd choose your touch point journeys, load your contacts, and then review some of those data insights for the business value. So Emily?
Great. So just to give a little more background, I had my own pet food brand for about 4 years and then opened a pet supply store where we also offered grooming, dog walking, and training. So I have a lot of experience in the pet industry over the last 9 years. I got connected with Blustream last year to help them think through building out this content library. And in a few moments, we will show you an example of exactly what those messages would look like from a customer perspective. So depending on what kind of business you have, whether it's branded treats, a groomer, or a retailer, you can start your customer journey in a very specific way and still have access to the entire library of content that we have, and we'll show you a little bit about how that works. So in this example, we'll be using my old pet food company, Fedwell, as an example, and this journey will start out with our diet and exercise module because we know a lot of the common questions people would have when switching their dog to a new diet. So as Ken mentioned, customers will begin their journey with scanning a QR code and start receiving SMS messages. So in this case, because it's a food product, that QR code might be on the packaging, it might be in the box that you receive shipped to your home. If you're a groomer or retailer, it could be incorporated into your POS system, it could be a sign on your countertop. So there are lots of ways to integrate the QR code to make sure that your customer sees it and can interact with it when they need it. All right, Ken, we're ready for that video. All right, so after our customer scans their QR code, they immediately get a warm welcome message. In this case, we're also asking them how much their dog weighs. So we're immediately engaging with them, asking them questions that will help us better service them with appropriate messages. So in this case, because it is a pet food company, knowing the weight of their dog is also going to help us determine how much their dog should be feeding. So if you have a treat company or a food company, you could even customize this link if you have something specific on your website, like a dog food calculator. And these messages are going to come in pretty quickly, but just so you're aware, these messages are often spaced out a week apart so that your customer's not going to be getting messages all day like this. But we follow up the dog food calculator with questions about exercise. So in this case, the customer says they're exercising their dog 45 minutes a day, and we're providing them with education and information about that. So all of these answers that people are providing are also getting accumulated in your dashboard, so you'll have a better understanding of who your customers are, how they're interacting with their dogs, you know, what kind of exercise and food they're feeding. So now we're asking about table scraps, so we're providing education, we're engaging with them. And as you can see, this is two-way engagement, and it's a lot more than just yes or no. We're getting a lot of really interesting content here from them. All right. So now we're asking, does your dog eat grass? Very common thing that dogs do. And some people might be concerned about it, not really know if that's appropriate for their dog to be doing or not. So as the dashboard builds more information about your customer, we start feeding them more specific content related to what they're telling us. So it becomes a very dynamic experience for the folks on the other end. It also helps you figure out maybe what new products you might want to develop, what content may be helpful for your customers. So it will help you in a whole bunch of different ways. So now, as you can see, we're asking them what ailments their dogs are currently experiencing. So this is kind of deviating into potentially a new module that your customer might be going through. So in this case, they're saying, my dog is having itchy skin. So we say, great, here are some immediate things you can do to help your dog's itchy skin. But now we also know that about your customers. So that further helps us understand what products they might want to be recommended to use, other services. Now we're asking them about bathing. Maybe they're bathing their dog too frequently. This will also give you an indication about their grooming behaviors that you could potentially be helping them with. So we're really building a full profile of this dog owner and all the different ways that you can help them. And what's great is you don't have to set up any of these messages. These are all happening automatically. This is all coming directly from the library. So when this customer is telling us that their dog is still itching, because we're following up maybe a week later just to see how things are going, then maybe we say, okay, here are some reasons you might want to visit a vet if you're continuing to see your dog itching. So every single link that someone clicks on, every single answer, that's all going to be displayed in your dashboard. Everything becomes very dynamic. It's not a one-size-fits-all marketing tool for every single customer, and I think that's part of what makes this so special for retailers, brands, and service providers. If you have any specific questions about maybe how this journey might start for your business specifically, you're welcome to put that in the chat, and we can definitely help you think through that. And I'll pass it back to Ken now.
I'm assuming you can still hear me?
Yep, we got you, Ken.
Thanks, Emily. Well, I want to say thank you, Emily. That was like being in a time warp, which was great. And I'm glad you mentioned that typically those messages would be building a relationship throughout the course of days, weeks, months, and years. And but we couldn't take days, weeks, months, or years here in 1 hour, and so that was perfect. Again, what's very interesting is the ability to get that response dynamically and then change the next message, or in parallel, some other messages that might be around itching and scratching while you're still running the center journey or the middle about just the life cycle and the needs of the puppy or the dog. So terrific, great job, thank you. So I'd like to begin to wrap up here and say, thank you to all of you who have joined us. We've shown you how to connect your company to your customers through personalized pet parent experiences around your products. The way to get started is to feel free to reach out to me directly. There's my email, and we're happy to schedule a 15 to 20-minute chat to see if this is a good fit for your business. You can scan the QR code if you'd like, and one of our executives, Tyler, is available as well and does a lot of helping of companies to connect and engage with their customers, and so he's got a lot of experience as well. And what we would do is go through a learn, launch, and scale process together. And we start by picking the right template journey, adding a few of your own internal context. We like to have you experience the platform first, and then together we'll look at the data and decide how much value is this really bringing to you, and can it bring to your business? And then from there we move right into launch, add some customers, make some adjustments to that touch point journey, and start measuring the customer experience and business impact. And it's very exciting to then take that and continue to roll it out. So from here, we'd like to open the floor. I know Barbara has been gathering questions and watching the chat. And so Barbara, if you would like to come back and maybe start up and we can address some of the questions and discussion.
Sounds good. And we did get a few questions. If anyone in the audience has any more, don't forget, you can write them in the questions section of your control panel. Thanks for a great presentation. Also, so much information that you can give customers when they're bringing that new dog home. And I know a lot of us have been there personally. So this is great information that you're giving folks with Blustream. Ken, here's a question for you that's come in. Can you name some of the examples where a customer would start getting SMS messages, types of triggers?
Yeah, so this is our product, our platform, our software was developed so that the foundation is flexible. And depending on the product, whether it's food or it's grooming services or training or it's supplies and accessories throughout the growth of a pet, the triggers for the messages, the initiation up in our cloud happens, and it will evolve over time. And so it's very easy to add more messaging, triggers, messaging, and links as you go forward. But some of the most common ones when we think about for our furry friends would be exercise, as I've mentioned a couple of times. If there's, depending on the breed and depending on the amount of exercise, there are important dietary recommendations that most of the folks and people on this webinar likely already know. You have expertise on what you would recommend, and based on certain number of minutes or hours of exercise per week and the breed, you can suggest supplements or diets or maybe chew toys. Another one is weight. So the weight of your pet, the weight of your pet owner's pet. So if it's early on in a puppy's life as it's growing, weighing the puppy, and then as you gain, as the puppy gains weight over time based on its growth, you'll have all that data to make the right recommendations as it reaches maturity. So weight can be used to trigger, and then activity. So it could be depending on how much training or how much time is being spent playing with other dogs, and that level of activity can trigger things.
Gotcha.
One other comment about that is to kick off a journey or a section of a journey, as Emily described, really can be used with time. Could be at the 6-month or at the 1-year anniversary, the birthday, kick off a different section. Again, earlier I mentioned you can use sensors, like it's how much food is coming out of the dispensary, and let that kick it off. Or you could even use, if you've got a CRM system or a customer service or support system or a point of sale system, you can use any of those as links directly to trigger the launch of sections of our journeys.
Gotcha. Thank you. Here's a question for Emily that's come in. If I'm not an independent retailer, is this still something I can use?
I would say absolutely. I think we have even talked to an apparel company that gives a portion of their proceeds to rescue organizations, but they know that all of their customers either have dogs or engaged with dogs in some way. And so it's a great way to engage with any type of customer or client around their dog. So it really sets anyone up to be the trusted expert for your dog's whole life. So I would say whether you're a brand, a retailer, service provider, absolutely. It's just a matter of picking where you want the journey to begin.
Great. Thank you. Ken, here's a question that's come in for you. How is Blustream different from other marketing systems?
Oh, that's a great question. I actually think it starts right at the fundamental design. Blustream is designed to be purpose-built for products after a sale, not for filling the funnel with new prospects, managing the funnel through the life cycle of a prospect to the buyer's journey till purchase, or to manage customer support inquiries, but to actually engage around the product itself. And what's interesting about that is someone asked me that question yesterday, and I said once in my career I had someone describe to me the difference between purpose-built in terms of spaghetti, and they said that you would not eat spaghetti with a spoon. You could actually get there and you can eat your entire plate of spaghetti with a spoon, but it's a little more difficult than if you actually had a fork. And I kind of look at us that way. I look at Blustream as we intentionally went out and worked in the industry with leaders about after sale touch points and engagements, and then built the platform that's available on the market today to be that additional complementary platform to the existing systems that were already out there that do an excellent job for pre-sale and customer service inquiries.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Here's another question for you, Ken. Someone's asking, does Blustream help me use QR codes?
We do. As I mentioned earlier, we all have experienced how QR codes can make the owner experience so much easier for that unboxing and setup. And so, yes, we'd be delighted to help any of you out there with how to implement and deploy QR codes. They can be as simple as, if you scan this QR code right now that's on the screen, you'll see it simply is a link that'll take you to one of our landing pages where Tyler is offering to connect with you and set up a 10 or 15 minute chat. And so it's important because this technology's been around. QR code technology's been around for a long time. And some of the leading players, like I mentioned with my Wi-Fi network at home, the big players, are common household names. They've spent tens of millions of dollars on those startup unboxing guides and making it. They've got software developers and they've got data analysts and technical experts. And we said we don't want our customers to have any of that. We want you to be able to take your products and services. We partner with you, and we'll bring to the table that technology and the software expertise and the data expertise, and provide you with a platform right out of the box.
Sounds good to me. Here's another question for you, Ken, and this is coming in from a retailer who wants to know more about what Blustream can do. Is it only able to do text messaging, SMS? What about emails, mobile apps?
So hopefully there's some other questions for Emily, but I would say, yeah, no, this is great. No, thanks, Barbara. So thank you for the question. The way we look at the world is that it's a connection point from the messaging cloud. So our messaging cloud is sending messages out. We've asked our customers and their consumers, and the majority like texting. They like, there's so much white noise on email for all of us that we found that texting is the most effective way to communicate. However, our connection point, think of it like a pipe, and the pipe has the messages. And if our customers have a mobile app already, we can pipe our messaging right into their mobile app. If our customers want to run the messaging through a CRM email platform, no problem. So we look at the messaging that our cloud is going to send those messages out the pipe. And today we use a lot of SMS, but it's not limited to only SMS.
Gotcha. So get those cell phone numbers. Here's a question for Emily. And this is a good one, Emily, because I think that you can probably talk a lot about using Blustream. Have you used other systems? And in your opinion, what makes Blustream different?
I have. So over the last 9 years, I've used maybe 3 or 4 different systems to send out marketing messages to my customers and clients. I would say absolutely the biggest difference would be the time required to set this up. I think most companies and businesses can be set up within less than an hour. All of the messaging is very industry specific. So, whether you're selling fish or pet, dog products, cat products, those content libraries are already all created for you, and the messages have already been vetted by experts in the industry. So it couldn't be simpler for someone in the pet industry to get access to these types of messages that are so relevant for their customers. It would take hundreds of hours to set this up on your own, and all you have to do is really input your name, adjust any links or messages that you maybe feel like you want to be a little bit different, but it really is all just right there at your fingertips. And the other thing I would say is the quality and the specificity of the data collected. You can collect maybe dog name or birthday through various other marketing systems, but here you're just collecting so much helpful information, and it's just an abundance of information that helps you make better decisions.
So you've got this enormous content library, and you make it easy for people to send this already prejudged information out to customers. That's a big difference.
Exactly.
Very interesting. Okay, so here's a question for Ken. I'm sorry, we're going back to you, Ken, this time. Someone is asking if they can talk to any customers who use Blustream.
Absolutely, of course. So just let us know what your products and services are, and we'll connect you up with the right people. Can I go back to I want to go back to that other question. I know you asked Emily, but
It's okay.
since we have the floor, it's really important. We believe the burden is on us at Blustream to identify markets and product categories that have high touch unboxing, meaning first impression opportunities, and then ongoing care or maintenance opportunities. And the burden is on us to make the investments in our team to go out into the market, do the research, work with experts, and document these templates that are those product messaging journeys. And that makes the job for our customer dramatically reduced. And that's what Emily was talking about. And I can tell you, we have now got one of the hardest jobs we have is to choose where to spend our time, because we want to get to all of them, and we will eventually, but we're really focused on the industries and the segments that we are working with. And the pet industry is really important. In some cases, for example, with aquatics and with reptiles, lives are at stake. We really are passionate about this, that we want to enable the industry to do a great job connecting with their customers. When I know from folks here at Blustream, when their kids have wanted to buy a fish and they've brought them home, the fish may or may not have a successful, healthy environment and life as a result of the lack of education. Reptiles, aquatics. Now in dogs and cats, it's better, but there's still a lot of touch points and a lot of education and connectivity there. And just to reiterate what Emily said, that's the burden is on us. We do not charge customers services fees and setup fees and funding our R&D. That's on us to make sure that we've got expert curated content, and then enable our customer to change it. You can change it, edit it, add to it, remove stuff, put your own links in, so that you can drive those relationships back to your company. But I appreciate, I just wanted to make a comment and riff off of what Emily had to say.
Thank you. Which brings us, which is a nice segue into our next question which is how much does it cost, and do you provide discounts for annual subscriptions?
Well, that's a good question for a public webinar. Cool. So why not? So let's see. So we charge on a per message basis. So you buy at a certain level, you get X numbers of thousands of messages or hundreds of messages or tens of thousands of messages per month. You pay on a monthly basis for the amount of messages that are actually engaged. So if you have X thousands of customers and only 70% of your X thousands of customers are actually communicating, you only pay for the messaging. That's what we see. And absolutely, positively would love to talk about annual or multi-year relationships. So bring them on.
That sounds great. Now, if people want to get in touch with you, your phone number and your email address are on the Q&A panel in front of everybody. It's ken@blustream.io, 508-525-0011. I wish we had more time to take some of the additional questions. If we didn't get to your questions today, we will send you an email with a reply shortly. I wanted to thank you, Ken, and thank you, Emily, for being part of our webinar today. To our audience viewing this at your shop or at home, we will send you an email by day's end that will include a link if you'd like to watch the webinar again or share it with a colleague. And it will also be posted to the Pets Plus website, that's petsplusmag.com, within a couple of days. So without further ado, everyone, thanks again, and we hope to see you next time. Bye-bye now, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.